Welcome back to the Sonic comic books right here at Eligible Monster Gaming Lore. This is the channel where I just try to tell you guys the lore of what's going on in your favorite video games. And that includes talking about the extra media stuff that they create, such as comic books. This is Volume 2. Keep in mind the IDW series takes place after Sonic Heroes. I'll give you a link to Volume 1 down below if you want to watch that, but let's get into Volume 2. With the rise of the Batniks and the mysterious disappearance of Eggman, Sonic has set out to thwart the baddies and figure out just who is behind all of these attacks. While taking on another group of rogue robots, Sonic is met by Espio of Chameleon, with a possible lead on what's going on. As the two easily dismantle the lowly enemies, Sonic asks how did the Chaotix track Eggman down? And Espio says that that's the thing. He isn't sure the Doctor is actually behind this. After searching the ruins of the Imperial City, they came up with nothing. Next, they went to Eggman's last known lab. Orbot and Cubot were cooperative, but they knew nothing. Eggman's computer system shows no escape plans or personal traffic. They did, however, receive an anonymous tip that would lead them to the village that they're going to now, which may bring about more questions than answers. As Sonic hurries into the small town, he looks around to see everything is rather normal. No signs of Batniks or foul play. Charmy the Bee then flies out to welcome Sonic, telling him how this place is great. But as Sonic asks what's going on, Charmy zooms away, stating, "Just wait there, I'll go get him." Charmy then begins to tug on an arm, telling the person to come out, and as they do, they laugh, telling him, there's no need to get all excited. Sonic looks up at the man, and he realizes that Charmy brought out none other than Dr. Eggman, who introduces himself as Mr. Tinker. As Tinker extends his hand for a handshake, Sonic smacks it away, asking if he really thinks that he'll buy this. "Come on, Doc." And Tinkerer says, "Doc? I haven't earned any sort of doctorate before, but then again, I can't remember much of anything." Sonic stares at him for a moment. Right. So you don't remember anything about us fighting over the Chaos Emerald, Lost Hex, the Ark, the Death Egg? Does any of that ring a bell? I'm not familiar with that. And is the Lost Hex a spell that someone lost? Are you just throwing random words together? Because none of those things make any sense. Vector the Crocodile steps in, telling Tinker to not sweat it. This is just a case of mistaken identity. Just go on and get back to whatever you were doing. Espio walks up, stating that this is what he meant by they found some sort of egg. So Sonic asks, "Are you guys sure this isn't an act or anything? Eggman has pulled similar stunts in the past." Vector tells him that that's just it. They thoroughly interrogated him and observed him over the last couple of days. It's legit. He remembers nothing. Sonic thinks back to some of his encounters with the Doctor, and he tells them, still, he can be extremely dangerous. He can threaten whole planets if he wanted. Vector says that that's why they called him. They have no clue what to do. Sure, he's done some nasty stuff, but can they really punish a guy who doesn't remember any of it? Espio then says that there have been crimes committed and justice must be served. Eggman must be punished. Sure, but can you really say that's Eggman? Just look, he's fixing a little girl's doll. Just then the village elder walks up, stating that if he may, he'd like to say a few things. While he'd defer to the judgment of a famous hero, he'd rather them consider this before making their decision. The man appeared in their village one day without warning. They're still not sure how he arrived. They locked him up immediately, but the next day they found that he'd broken out of his cell, so they reinforced it. Just like the Chaotix, they questioned and tested him for days. Never once did he show signs of his old villainous ways. And once they realized that he wasn't, well, himself, they nursed his wounds and took him in. In return, he repaid their kindness tenfold. He'd repair anything that they brought to him, from the smallest, most delicate work to the largest, most grueling efforts. Sonic scratches his head. This was so much easier when it was just, I hate that hedgehog. Just then, one of the villagers runs in shouting that they're under attack. Batniks coming in from the south. Sonic looks back at the Elder and then tells Team Chaotix to take care of the Batniks. He'll handle Eggman. As the others get to work, Sonic rushes over to the building that Eggman is staying in. He finds Tinker helping build a barricade to help the villagers, telling them that it'll be okay, the Chaotix will protect them. Tinker then says that he's just sorry that he never caught his name, but could he help defend the village? He's ashamed to say that he's a little afraid of fighting. Sonic tells him, don't worry, just keep the folks safe and I'll go smash the bots. With that, Sonic rushes out to lend a hand against the Batniks. But as things are wrapping up elsewhere, the mysterious figure from before watches as the last camera is smashed, shouting, No! Why were Sonic and the Chaotix there? Did their forces stumble upon a settlement? Or have they figured it out? As everything is cleared out, Sonic returns to the village to tell the Tinker that he is sorry for mixing him up with somebody else, and he can call him Sonic. Tinker shakes his head, telling him that the pleasure is all his, but he does hope that they can find who they're looking for. He sounds worried. Sonic brushes it off, telling him not to worry. He might be gone for good this time. Tinker then looks around, telling him that he might have a lot of tables to rebuild, but as everyone laughs, Sonic begins to leave, and Tinker says that he hopes that they can all return when he is ready to show them Eggman Land when it's completed. Sonic freezes. Eggman Land? Your own terrifying personal theme park? Did you just slip up on your ruse, or are you... But before Sonic could question him, a voice calls out. You're never gonna menace the world with Eggman Land again. I'm gonna destroy you first. Everyone turns back to see who said it, and they see Shadow the Hedgehog alongside Rouge the Bat. Sonic jumps in front, telling him to hold on a second. This isn't what it looks like! And Rouge tells him, you better talk fast, because I definitely heard him say that he was rebuilding Eggman Land. And we all know how stubborn Shadow can be. Shadow begins to make his way to Tinker, and Sonic runs in front of him. Sure, Eggman Land sounds iffy, but this isn't Eggman. Tinker nervously laughs. That's right. Apparently this bad man looks an awful lot like me, though. Sonic whispers that Eggman has totally lost his memory. Him, the Chaotix, and the villagers have all confirmed it. But Shadow presses on. That doesn't make him any less dangerous. As Sonic continues blocking Shadow's path, Shadow shows no signs of letting up, so Sonic grabs him by the arm and runs out of the village. Vector shouts that they will go help, but that's when they see the two bouncing off walls and running at super speed, so he sighs, realizing that they probably won't. The villagers turn to Rouge, who explains that she had gotten an anonymous tip to track down Eggman in this location, and that gave her enough time to find Shadow to distract Sonic. Vector begins to think about it for a moment, realizing what's actually going on with Rouge. Meanwhile, out in the woods, Sonic and Shadow continue running, trying to attack one another, but Sonic stops, telling him, look, I know this looks bad, but remember the business on the Ark way back when? Eggman helped us save the world. Shadow glares, and Sonic tells him, okay, maybe he started the whole thing, but it's not like he was aiming to destroy the whole world. Shadow takes off back towards the village, but as Sonic tries to reason with him once more, he ends up tripping, giving Shadow the perfect opportunity to attack. Shadow slams Sonic into a tree, asking, have you forgotten how much Eggman made me suffer? How he tried to destroy you multiple times? How can you even suggest leniency for him? Sonic laughs. Yeah, well, didn't you also try to destroy me? You even tried to obliterate the entire planet. So, what? Do you want to be treated like Eggman? After all, if he can't be forgiven. Seeing the whole double standard of the nature, Shadow eases off, asking, well, fine. What's the plan with him then? We're gonna let him stay in the village, but first we need to nail down this Eggman Land thing. Shadow suddenly realizes that they both left Eggman alone and quickly teleports ahead, running for the village. As he gets there, he finds Tinker hiding with other villagers. Shadow begins to flip the tables. Show me Eggman Land now! Tinker nervously laughs, telling him that he didn't really want to unveil it until it was finished, but I'll make an exception for you. He leads everyone to a large warehouse in the back of the village. And when he opens the door, it's a miniature theme park complete with roller coasters. Ta-da! Rouge looks at it. Oh, threatening. Charmy claps his hand, stating that it looks amazing. And Tinker says that there isn't much for children out there, so he thought a nice play space out of the elements would make them happy. Does this mean that I'm not in trouble? Sonic laughs. Haha, you're in the clear. But that at least leaves the question. How did you come up with the name? Tinker says that it just came to him. Thought it sounded like a bit of nonsense that kids would enjoy. Tinker takes Sonic's hand and shakes it, telling him, I hope you'll come back and see it when it's finished. Oh, don't you worry. I'm definitely stopping by from time to time. Elsewhere in the lab of the mysterious figure, Orbot submits his reports stating that the flotillas are heading into position. The figure says awesome. Signal his personal flagship. Dr. Eggman stands up. It is time for me to join the Egg Fleet. It's time to move on to the next phase of the plan. The Egg Fleet doesn't take long to get spotted by Sonic and Tails as they take to the skies to try and shut down Eggman's Egg Fleet. Before jumping on board, Tails hands Sonic a device, telling him to just hook this up to any computer that he sees. Hopefully, we'll be able to download some information that we can use to figure out who's behind all of this. You know I'm not much of a computer guy, right, Tails? That's why when you hook it up, just press go. You can't mess that up. Sonic leaps off the plane onto the flying battle station, but he's greeted by none other than Eggman himself. Eggman laughs. Ha ha ha! I knew it was only a matter of time before you showed up to spoil my fun. But no matter, you're still too late. The gears are already turning, Hedgehog. My latest genius plan is Sonic holds up his hands. Wait, time out, save the rant, Faker. Eggman blinks, asking, Faker? Yeah, I've seen the doc. He's fine, and he's not here. You've got this act down pat, though, so who are you really? Eggman stares for a moment, scoffing. Fine. You'd even ruin my feint, my loathsome copy. Eggman begins to transform before Sonic's eyes, and as they finish, Sonic realizes who it is. No way, Metal Sonic? Correction, Neo Metal Sonic. Oh yeah, new name to go with the new look. You even tried to take over the Eggman Empire, but me and the boys kicked your butt and turned you back to normal. Neo tells him that Lord Eggman repaired him, removed the rebelliousness from his coding, and then he decided to upgrade him to this new form once again. He was Eggman's greatest weapon in the final battle, however he was completed too late, and the war was lost. He'd ruined everything once again. But part of his upgrade came with the Doctor's bio data, his genius, his drive, his vision, but he only serves the Eggman Empire. The only one who can truly rule it is Dr. Eggman. So he decided to use his persona to ensure that his reign remained unbroken, and he will conquer this world for Eggman as Eggman. Sonic scratches his chin. Ah, all right, well, it all makes sense now. There's just one teeny tiny problem with your grand evil scheme. What would that be? Sonic dashes into him. I'm gonna whoop your spiky butt before you can conquer anything. After several more attacks, Neo lays out on the floor, and Sonic asks, how do you like that? But Neo gets back up. Just fine. Biodata successfully copied. Ah, right. You can copy people's abilities. Forgot about that. So, do-over? Neo delivers several attacks of his own. Though Sonic manages to deflect some of them, he's eventually thrown into the computer terminal. He waits to get up, thinking on what to do, and he lays it all out. Battleship, he can handle that. Full army of the Batniks? Little dicey but doable. All that and Senor Starfish Head? Nope. Time to bail. As Neo charges in for another attack, Sonic dodges, running away. Jumping out the window as Neo chases, shouting, Coward! Sonic laughs. That's what you think! And Neo calls to all the Batniks to attack, to make sure to bring him in alive. As Sonic dodges the more aggressive attacks, he says that Neo has a funny way of showing he wants him alive. Sonic fights his way through wave after wave of baddies, literally carving out his escape. But before he can make a break for it, Neo hits him and grabs hold, telling him, no more games! Tell me, where is my master? Sonic says that if he kills him, he'll never know. So Neo tells him that he has his biodata and he can sift through the ashes to find him. Speak or fall! Sonic stops resisting. I'll never fear the fall. And then he delivers an upward kick before falling into the cloud. As Sonic fades from view, he flies back up, standing on the wings of Tails' plane, and he escapes. Neo watches. Well played. I should expect nothing less from my double, but I have won today. I know that Eggman is alive while you've learned nothing of my plans. As Neo returns to the helm of his battleship, he tells everyone to come into formation, and they begin the docking procedures, as just below, floating in the sky, is Angel Island, home of the Master Emerald. Later, though, knowing who is the cause of all of this, Sonic sets out to take out one of Neo's bases, destroying all of the little Batniks that he can along the way. As the facility goes into lockdowns, Sonic spots a large metal door shutting and rushes towards it. As he slides into it, something is shot in the way of the door to stop it from closing before Sonic has a chance to make it through. Sonic wipes his brow. That was close. But then a extra large Batnik appears. Sonic gets ready to attack, but suddenly the bot is lifted into the air and slammed on the ground. As Sonic looks around, Silver steps out using his pyrokinesis, asking, do you mind if I cut in? You know, I did have that, but I am glad to see you, Silver, and thanks for holding the door for me back there. Silver looks confused, asking what door. He came from the other way. So Sonic looks back. If you didn't help me... Suddenly, out of the shadows, a figure with a gun appears, shooting the Batnik as it begins to get back up, finally destroying it. The two stare for a moment at it, and Sonic asks, since when could you do that? It wasn't me! It must be the legendary Guardian Angel! And Silver tells him that multiple units in the Resistance have reported a mysterious person who could turn the tide of battle but never joined the army. Whoever it was has saved their lives more than once, and he must be here to help. Sonic then asks, is that why you came back from the future, to get an autograph? No, I came back because defeating Eggman did not save the future. When I returned, it was like everything had just vanished. The Empire was gone, and so was everyone else. No people, no animals, no machinery. So I came back here to find out what happened. I first checked in with Amy, and she told me that you were looking for clues at Eggman's bases, so I figured I'd drop in and help. Sonic takes a look at the broken robots. Well, whoever did this, they aren't using a standard Wispon. Normally, they're made to clear out crowds of robots, but this is way more precise. At that moment, the two hear a noise coming out of the other end of the hall, and as they look, they see a young female wolf shooting a door trying to get in. She switched to different wisps, but every attempt ends in failure. That must be her, the guardian angel. And as soon as the wolf senses that she's been spotted, she jumps back into the shadows. Silver looks up, stating that he doesn't understand. Why would she run? And Sonic reminds him, you said that she never joined the Resistance. Maybe she's just never interacted with anyone, right? She obviously prefers to work solo for whatever reason. Not everyone likes being a part of a crowd. Sonic then tries calling out, stating sorry for coming on so strong. His name is Sonic and his overeager friend is Silver, and they appreciate the help. They'd like to help her too. Soon, all of the wisps from the girl's weapon all dance around Sonic and he laughs. The girl comes out and quietly says, Whisper. And Silver asks, what is that? So Sonic says, I think it's her name. It's Whisper. Whisper nods and Sonic says that settles it. Care to open the doors, Silver? As everyone gets ready, Silver uses his powers to open the door to the facility's core, revealing the remaining Batnik army there to protect it. As the three get to work, Sonic quickly realizes that this may be a bit much for them to handle and calls on Silver for some help in finishing off the big guy. Silver tells him, right, come at me. As Silver focuses his energy, Sonic jumps up and begins to orbit around him. Silver unleashes Sonic as he spins all around, taking out the small fries, and then finally the big one. And just then, another one shoots Whisper out of her post, and the baddies all begin to surround her. One of the big robots fires its rockets, and Silver rushes over, grabbing a hold of the smaller robots and uses them as shields, protecting Whisper. Sonic heads for the last remaining big robot, destroying it, and as the pieces all begin to come down, Silver moves over to lifting up the piece that landed on Whisper. Silver looks at her. It's okay if you want to work alone. However, it looks to me like you've already put together quite the team with your Wisp friends. I would be proud to be a part of it. Whisper uses her mask to hide her smiling face and quietly says, maybe. Once the coast is clear, the three head over to the terminal to try and find out what Neo's plans are. And within seconds, they have their answers. Meanwhile, back at the Resistance base, Knuckles feels a sudden shock and Amy asks what happened. Knuckles shakes his head. I think it was the Master Emerald. Something's wrong. Amy says that it's hidden on Angel Island. That's the reason that he's been able to help. And Knuckles says that he knows, but as its guardian, he has a special connection to it. It's calling out to him. At that moment, the computer screen lights up and Sonic yells that they found out what Neo's up to. They're gonna want everyone for this. Over on Angel Island, Neo Metal Sonic sits atop the Master Emerald, stating that it's one of the most powerful emerald in the worlds. Come to me, Sonic, as yourself or Super Sonic. Either way, you will be powerless to stop me. And that's the wrap up of Volume 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let me know by saying something in the comments down below. Just give me a thumbs up or tell me you really like Chili Dog, something that simple. That's why I know you guys want me to keep covering these and we keep doing more Sonic comic books. Anyway, stick around because I'm also covering Resident Evil and Assassin's Creed and a lot of other games here, so I'd love to have you be a part of our community. But either way, thank you so much. I'll see you next time.